Hi, my name is Sean Weiser, and I am an Android developer here at Livefront. Today I'll be talking about how to make your API documentation look more appealing by customizing the look and feel of it using Dokka. So first, what is Dokka? If you write and distribute SDKs for either other teams in your company or other organizations entirely, odds are you also need to publish documentation for them to consult. Dokka is an API documentation engine for Kotlin that will generate those docs for you. It works for both Java docs and Kotlin KDoc comments, with the ability to output the final result in multiple formats. Those include Markdown, the traditional Java doc style that Java developers are probably familiar with, and a newer style that has become the standard for Kotlin documentation, now used by many third-party libraries, including OKHTTP, Kotlin coroutines, and others. We'll be focusing on that format today. Our first step is to cover how to actually configure the HTML output for Dokka and Gradle. If possible, I'd recommend using the Kotlin DSL. As shown in the slide, each Dokka task can be set up by assigning the various configuration options. This is much cleaner and clearer than the Groovy options we're about to see. If you do need to use Groovy, configuration needs to be done using a blob of JSON. The first option is similar to what we did before using the Kotlin DSL. Each Dokka task is configured by setting the map variable, plugin's map configuration with a Dokka-based plugin name shown in the slide, plus the full string representation of the JSON configuration options. The other option using Groovy is very similar, but instead of configuring each Dokka task, you can do the actual assignment in the potentially already existing Dokka HTML block. I found this option easier and cleaner during development because this block was already present for us due to some other Dokka settings that were included. So now that we have a base configuration, what can we do with it? I want to first show what an empty default configuration would generate. This is an HTML page from a simple sample API I created. As you can see, this documentation is already clean and attractive, but what if we wanted to make it look like something our organization produced? I want to show how to customize this page using Livefront's logo and colors to make it feel unique to us. The first customization is to add a new footer by setting footer message. Just include any string you want, and the footer now shows the new message. It's that simple. The next thing we want to do is replace the default logo with our company's logo. So we grab the SVG version of our logo, rename it as logo-icon.svg, and put it into our application modules assets folder. In the JSON configuration, we just need to add a new entry for custom assets. Notice the new logo in the upper left corner. It's not bad, but it's kind of small. Let's see if we can make that a little bigger. Before we get to that, we should have discussed the CSS Dokka includes by default. They've conveniently created some style variables that we can override rather than having to write a lot of our own custom CSS. Here's a portion of their styles.css and logostyles.css files. These variables, plus many more, are available to override if we want. What we want is actually these last two variables, Dokka logo height and Dokka logo width. So first we need to create our own custom CSS file and override those two variables we need with the values we want. We then include that CSS file in the assets directory alongside our custom logo. Once that's done, we just need to add a new custom style sheet setting to the JSON configuration, and voila, right? Not quite. As you can see, the logo is still super small, and now for some reason takes up an unreasonable amount of vertical space. It turns out that version 1.9.10 of Dokka has a bug where they reverse the width and height of logo size. To fix this, we can either reverse the width and height ourselves, which might be confusing to you and future developers, or completely update the necessary CSS rules, which we did here. The width and height variables are the same, but we've added a new CSS rule for library name link that corrects the order of width and height. As you can see, the Livefront logo is now properly sized. The last couple of steps involve updating the colors to match Livefront's custom color palette. The first change we want to make is to update the top banner. By updating the color dark variable, we change it from black to a darker gray. It's subtle, but it's more on brand for our organization. And finally, we want to change the active color the documentation uses from purple to a Livefront green. There are three variables we need to override to accomplish this: active section color, active tab border color, and side menu section active color. Once done, you can see the new indicators in the sidebar in the Members tab. With just a few lines of CSS, we've been able to turn the default Dokka output into something that's been customized to look and feel like something created by Livefront. Aside from those simple CSS changes, there's a lot more that can be done with Dokka that we didn't cover today. You can select what content is actually included in your generated docs, either by using pre-existing options or by creating custom plugins. You can also add additional custom assets and entire new style sheets that add or override all the included styles. Dokka also allows you to use Apache FreeMarker templates to completely customize how the HTML is generated. Today we've talked about how Dokka can be customized to make your API documentation more appealing and in line with your organization's look and feel. But we've barely touched on all the possibilities that are out there. Hopefully this has been helpful in getting you to take a look to see if Dokka is right for your documentation needs. Thank you.